Imagine you're sitting by a fire thousands of years ago. There are no houses, no streets, no doors to lock, just darkness and the tiny orange circle of light around your group. Then something moves at the edge of the camp, and everyone freezes. A pair of eyes is staring back. Not human eyes, animal eyes. And the strange thing is, this animal doesn't run away. It watches. It waits. It comes close enough to smell the bones you threw away. And maybe for the first time in history, a human looks at a wild animal and doesn't only think, "Can I eat it?" They think something much stranger. What if it stays? That one thought may be where the story of the first pet begins. But here's what makes that story so unsettling. The first animal humans loved probably wasn't soft, or tiny, or harmless. It was likely a wolf, and thousands of years later, one of those animals would be buried in a human grave, and cared for anyway. Because calling it a pet is almost too soft a word. Wolves weren't decorations or toys or little friends curled up on a blanket. They were predators with teeth built for tearing meat. They hunted in groups. They could steal food, threaten children, and appear out of the dark before anyone heard them coming. So why would ancient humans ever let one get close? The easy answer is that humans domesticated wolves. But that sounds far too neat, like one day a cave person pointed and said, "You're a dog now." That's almost certainly not how it happened. The real story was slower, messier, and much weirder than that. It probably started with the wolves, not the humans. Some wolves may have discovered that human camps were useful. Humans killed large animals. Humans left bones and scraps and waste, and around a camp, there was food. But not every wolf could survive that close to people. The aggressive ones got chased away or killed. The fearful ones stayed too far back to benefit. The wolves with the best chance were the strange ones in the middle. Brave enough to come close, calm enough not to attack, patient enough to wait. And without ever planning it, humans started changing wolves just by tolerating certain ones. The calm wolf got closer. The dangerous wolf disappeared. Generation after generation, the animal beside the fire became a little less wild. Not because anyone had a plan, but because both sides were getting something. The wolves got food. The humans got a set of senses far sharper than their own. An animal that could smell what they couldn't, hear what they missed, and notice movement in the dark before any person saw it. In a world without walls, that was worth a great deal. But here's the uncomfortable part. Usefulness doesn't actually explain pets. A spear is useful. A fire is useful. A sharp stone is useful. But you don't bury a spear like family. And thousands of years ago, some humans seem to have done exactly that with a dog. In Bonn-Oberkassel, in what's now Germany, a young dog was buried alongside two humans more than 14,000 years ago. When researchers studied its remains, they found something remarkable. This dog had been seriously ill as a puppy, sick enough that it likely could only have survived if humans cared for it for weeks, feeding it, tending it, during a time when it could offer them nothing in return. That single detail changes the whole story, because now it isn't about hunting or guarding or scraps by a fire, it's about care. A sick animal is expensive in an ancient world. It needs food, it needs attention, it slows the group down. And still someone fed it when it couldn't help. Someone looked at this animal and decided it mattered. That's the part that feels almost modern because we still do exactly this. Your pet doesn't need to be useful for you to love it. A dog can destroy your couch, panic through a thunderstorm, and somehow still become part of your emotional world. You talk to it even though it never answers in words. And when it dies, something in the house feels wrong. Too quiet, too empty, like a small witness to your life has disappeared. That feeling may be older than cities, older than farming, older than written language. Before humans planted wheat or built temples or invented money, they may have already been sharing their lives with animals. And that's what makes the first pet so strange. It wasn't only an animal becoming more human, it may have been humans becoming more human too. Because to keep a pet, you have to imagine that another creature has an inner life. You have to notice its fear, its hunger, its trust. You have to care about a life that isn't yours. And maybe that's why dogs fit so deeply into us. They weren't just living near humans, they were living inside the human social world. They learned our faces, our voices, our anger, our softness, and we learned theirs. A tail, a whine, a lowered head, a glance toward the dark. Two species slowly built a language with no words in it at all. That's why the first pet was never really an object that humans owned. It was a relationship. At some point, the animal at the edge of the fire became the animal inside the circle, then beside the sleeping children, then near the grave, then in the story, then in the memory. And today, thousands of years later, the same pattern is still here. A person sits alone in a room with a dog sleeping nearby. Nothing important is happening. No mammoth is being hunted, no wolves are circling, no ancient forest waits outside. But the body still understands the oldest signal there is. There's another heartbeat in the room. You're not alone. Maybe that's what the first pet really was. Not the first animal we owned, not the first animal we trained, but the first animal we allowed into the fragile little circle of being human. The first one that looked at our fire and stayed. So I want to know, what's the most useless thing your pet has ever done that made you love it more anyway? Tell me in the comments.